Hi, everyone. Welcome to another session of DogSpot Live. We see that we have some highs from Mr. A.K. Mittal, Sachit Rai. Hi, everyone. Hi, Saloni. We are just waiting for a few people to join before we start off. Hi, Team Anvis. Hi, Shivaprakash, Shanky. All right, let's get started then. Hello, everyone. My name is Antaleena Ganguly, and I am a puppy trainer with Anvis. And Anand Vishwanath here is my mentor and guide when it comes to dogs. I know Anand for many, many years now, and his passion for dogs has just rubbed onto me. He has been, he has had dogs like Indies, Great Danes, Boxers, and in his relocation business, he has handled a lot of different breeds of different sizes, personalities, and he has a very keen interest in the different breeds of dogs. Right? You ask him about a breed, and he knows so much about them, and you can sit and listen to him like for hours together. Anand, welcome to the DogSpot Live session, and we are going to talk puppies today, our favorite topic. So let's get started.
Thank you, Antaleena. Thank you, DogSpot, for having me here again. Yeah, very exciting to talk about puppies. We've had puppies, we've seen puppies, so yeah, looking forward to some interesting questions. Hopefully, I can try and help out, try and clarify. Over to you, Antaleena.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's get started. For me, the thought of bringing a puppy excites me, and that's where my journey of being a pet parent starts, just by the thought of it, right? So let's start right from the beginning, right? If I'm thinking of bringing home a puppy, what are the questions I should ask myself before I take the decision?
Well, there are lots, right? So the first question I always like to do in especially when we're dealing with dogs, dealing with puppies, training, etc., is why. Why do you want a puppy? Right? What is it that? Why do you want to bring this little one into your home? What is it in it for you as a family, for the puppy? Right? It has to be a two-way street, right? So. Why do you want to bring? And then you go down to which, right? Once you decided and you say, okay, you know what? I have grown up with dogs. I definitely understand that these are the, I have experience growing up with a puppy, and that's how, I have learned so many life lessons, etc., etc. Whatever be the reason you have learned, and you want maybe your kids to experience, maybe you had a gap and you were not able to bring in a dog. You want to relive those moments, whatever be the reasons. As long as the reason you're true to yourself, you know that this is the right reason. And then you are answering the why. Then it is about which puppy do you want to bring in, as in there are so many different puppies in terms of breeds, in terms of personality, energy levels, what they were bred to do. Like you said, right, we are constantly talking of different breeds. Which puppy suits into your family, right? There are many times that we try and get in a puppy based on so many other factors, non-influencing factors, which is neither good for us, neither is it good for the puppy. But as long as we can answer that, and we know that which is the right kind of puppy that we want, and we have researched enough on it, I think then the next step is the preparation.
Right. And I think a major non-important influencing factor has been the size of the dog, right? People think, oh, it's a small dog, and because of the apartment living style, people think, okay, let's just get a small dog without even researching, right? But imagine they get a beagle home and they can have a handful, right? Okay, so moving on. Hi, Sandeep. Hi, Cherian. Hi. All right. Moving on. What kind of research should a pet parent do before bringing home a puppy?
See, there are lots, right? I think one of the key things is it's like this, right? I always think that hey, when you bring in a puppy home, you have to make sure how prepared are people going to be when they bring in or when they plan to have babies, right? So a lot of things are in there, which is basically, I think one of the most important things is support system. Who is going to take care of what is the support system that you have, internal, external? Internally, you could say that, hey, I'm going to walk the dog, or I'm going to take care of this. Who's going to clean the poop? I mean, these are discussions as a family everybody needs to have. Apart from that, I would always say that you need to have an external support system as well. And what I mean by that is, it's very important to know who your vet is going to be, right? Talk to people who have experience in having dog, whatever. Who is your vet? How close is your vet in emergency situations? How close is the vet going to be? Who is going to be a regular vet? So things like that. Always have a backup for where would you leave your pet when you're going to travel, right? Do you have a proper boarding place? Are you going to leave your puppy with friends, families, colleagues? Who is going to take care of your puppy, right? Have your
That's such a good
support.
point, right? Because I don't think most of us think about that even before bringing in a puppy, right? We wait for the puppy to come in, and then we have a travel planned, and then we struggle with finding a good place for our puppy, right? That's a very good point.
Absolutely. And in fact, we have had questions from people coming in saying that because we are into the services bit, right? They would ask, hey, how is your setup? How is your boarding setup, etc., etc. And then we would be like, okay, what dog do you have, whatever? And they'll be like, no, we don't have a dog, but we plan to get a dog, but we're already researching to find out that just in case we have to travel, we have to go. We want to make sure that the puppy we have a proper, like a backup, right? And this external support system is really, really important. You have to have all this, have a checklist of these places that you want to make a list of it, talk to them, go there, be as prepared as you can before you even bring the puppy home. And all this I'm saying is before you bring the puppy home. So vet, internal support system, external support system, right? And then there are you obviously, I think one of the bigger things that I always tell people is that, let's say you have shortlist on a particular breed, right? It could be anything. It could be a pug, it could be a boxer, it could be an indie, whatever it is, right? Try and talk to as many people who have owned these dogs, right? Every breed comes in with their little bit of quirks. They will have some certain behavior traits that only people who have had these particular dogs will know. Once you know and you have spoken to them, you're a little bit more prepared, right? And then they will also walk you through the process of what all goes through the puppy stage, which is basically puppies are going to bite, they're going to chew, they're going to be destructive, there is going to be poop and pee till you sort of get things into a routine. But be prepared, right? Mentally be prepared, so that when the puppy comes, it's not like a shock saying, oh my god, the dog is, and we have had, right, people calling us saying, oh my god, the dog is pooping. I'm like, dogs will poop, right? So yeah.
Right.
So do your research, right? I think important is research, right? Understand as much as you can, have your support systems in place.
And I also think it's a boon to be a pet parent in this day and age, right? I mean, 10 years back, we didn't have any support system. We didn't have any information around. We didn't have people like you to help us with, guide us, help us with questions. I think we have a lot of information for pet parents today, so they must make use of it and make the right decisions. Because I've seen people get influenced by their neighbors, by their friends, or they have a dog and that's why I want a dog. So, and I also, I just remembered that you mentioned just yesterday that you took 2.5 years to decide to bring in a dog.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I waited for 2.5 years because that's kind of amount of research that I had done to say which will fit into the kind of lifestyle. What do I need out of this particular puppy? And I waited, right, to bring this little one home.
Yep. And I can absolutely say, because I've met them, they were one of the happiest bunch that I've ever met.
Thank
All
you.
right. Moving on. Let's talk about the diet of a puppy, even before the puppy comes home, right? What kind of research should we do around the diet of a puppy?
See, diet is, I think, definitely right. It's one of the more important things, because most people, in the whole, in the whole excitement of getting a puppy home, Diet is often forgotten because somewhere in the back of our minds, we believe that, okay, I will bring in and then I'm going to give my puppy milk and I'm going to give my puppy Cerelac, right? What happens is that, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but what I'm saying is that what you need to do is you need to understand that these puppies at the age, whichever age that they come in, should in a large in most amounts of time, it should be that they should have been weaned off milk and they should be on semi-solid, if not completely solid food. uh, so you need to understand from whoever the person you're getting it, right? Be it like, friend, family, adoption center, etc. Speak to them, get a complete understanding of what the puppy was fed, how many times was the puppy fed, right? When you bring your puppy home for the next 2-3 days, just continue the same diet. Do not change the diet, because once you bring the puppy home, first of all, puppies come to a new place. There are a lot of people, a lot of things going, changing for the little one, and you change the diet also. Very quickly, the puppy can have upset tummy, and puppies being puppies, right? If they have loosies and all that, they get dehydrated very quickly. It can escalate very, very quickly. So stick to the diet that wherever the puppy was initially, stick to the same diet, and then slowly, gradually, you move to whatever diet. Again, this is some amount of research that you need to do to see what is the kind of good diets that you have. Dry foods, there are a lot of dry foods, there are a lot of fresh foods, etc., etc. See what suits you, what works the best for you, but gradually wean them into the newer diet.
Right. I see a lot of questions coming in from our viewers. I will take them up and shoot them at Anand very soon. But please give us a little more time. We'll cover some ground, and hopefully we will answer a few questions that you all have already asked. So just a little bit more. All right. Moving on, Anand. Next question, right? We think of going to a vet immediately after bringing a puppy in, but we say that we must know the kind of vaccinations a puppy should get before bringing a puppy in, or even maybe the parents of the puppy. Can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, see, again, depends on the age of the puppy. Ideal age to bring a puppy home is 12 weeks and above. I think that's what is recommended worldwide. Many reasoning behind that. One is a health aspect to it. One is a behavior aspect to it. Health aspect being that the puppy is protected by the vaccination of the mother is vaccinated. Puppies get vaccinated. There's something called puppy DP that gets done within this 12 weeks. So the puppy is protected, protects from multiple diseases. Parvo is one of like a big deal. Distemper is a big deal, right? So the puppy gets protected. Two, from a behavior aspect, if the puppy stays with the siblings, with the mother, puppy learns a lot of life skills, if you will, right? The whole biting thing that most people face when they bring in like a 30, 40, 50-day-old puppy is because the puppy has just, the teeth is coming, puppy wants to gnaw, will bite at us. We are like, oh, so cute, because the puppy is small. You don't realize that like this could grow up to a big puppy with a tremendous jaw power, no matter which. Yeah. And we tend to reward them, and you're like, oh, so cute, so cute. But when the puppy is with the mother will correct. The mother will not take that much amount of pain, right? The mother will correct all these biting behaviors, and it's a proven fact that when puppies come 12 weeks and older to you, been with the siblings, raised in a good environment, all those check boxes have been, the puppy gets used to a home environment, is sort of socialized fairly well, is okay with other dogs, bigger dogs, gets adjusted fairly quickly. Vaccination again depends on sorry, to answer that, vaccination depends on the age, but ideally should be at least puppy DP should be done. Rabies vaccination is also something that can be done at about 3 months of age. You need to wait for another 10 days before the vaccination actually sort of kicks in, antibody sort of kicks in.
So, Cherian, hopefully we've answered the question already. A good age to bring a puppy home is anything above 12 weeks old. All right. So he's also saying, should it be different based on different size of breeds?
Not really, Cherian, at least in my opinion, I don't think so, because I think for me, it goes back to the behavior part of it, right? So 12 weeks, If the puppy stays with the mother, the other puppies, they all learn some basics, skills in life, where the mother teaches a lot of things. And I think, talking of the diet also, and then I think we would have all seen, right? So again, diet, the mother would generally start pushing the puppies off milk. Will actually, and this the first time I saw this, it freaked me out a little bit when mothers would actually eat their food, regurgitate the food, throw it out, and then the puppies would actually sort of eat that. And then I was like, oh my god, this is not okay. But that's how it is. The mother does that to get them started. And you will see that, right? I think even on the streets, you will see a lot of strays doing that. They will regurgitate the food, and then the puppies would be eating from there. So I think, coming back, right, I think I don't see that based on size. I don't see that. It is more about what the puppy learns. So it's good to have the puppy with the mother for 12 weeks at least.
Okay. All right. Before we move on to the next topic, I'll just take one more question, which I think is relevant because we're talking about bringing a puppy home, right? So Sachit says, bringing puppies home has become a fashion statement these days. And should we consider our climatic condition before deciding on bringing a breed in, and which breeds should we avoid in the kind of climatic condition we are in India, in different parts of India, maybe the warmer days?
Right. Yeah, of course, right. So there are multiple facets to that, right? So weather being one of it, but I wouldn't say weather is the do all and end all when it comes to, because you have to consider again, right? If I'm a person who's very active, and then I like running, and then let's say I go in for a breed like pug, it just will not, right? There's complete mismatch over there. It's just not going to work. On the other hand, if I'm a more laid back person, end of the day, I just want to come back, kick back with a beer. I want to just watch TV, and then I have a husky who wants to run all the time. I think again, it's a mismatch, right? So you may want to find something that fits into your lifestyle, right? So many things that go into it. Of course, climate and surroundings is good, right? If you're in a very hot sort of a climate, bringing in a very heavy coated or a double coated dog like huskies or Saint Bernards may not be the best idea. But having said that, dogs are adaptable creatures, right? At least when it comes to the coat and all that, right? Because you do have Goldens, and you have German Shepherds, and you have a lot of other dogs that also have heavy coated. They kind of adapt. But I think the bigger challenge over here is how can you mentally engage the dog and keep the dog physically and mentally. I think both aspects that you need to sort of consider. Weather will be one aspect, but the other things also continue. So it has to be a holistic approach, not just one part which is make or break.
All right. Thank you for that, Anand. Sachit, hopefully we have answered your question. Moving on to our next topic. Now that we know, we need to know where the vet is. We need to identify the right breed for us based on our lifestyle, activity, the amount of space we have in our homes, and all of that. Say I have zeroed in on a breed, right? What is the next list of things that I should have a checklist for before bringing a puppy home? The essential ones, right?
Right. So I think some of the things that we may want to consider is that obviously, right, you would want to get leash, collars, dog bowls. Some of these things the puppy is going to grow out very quickly. Keep in mind that the ones that you bring in now, if it's a bigger dog, obviously the dog is going to grow out of. But you may have to keep going on. There will be a lot of leashes, collars that will end up getting destroyed by the puppy themselves. So keep that in mind. But you may want to, it's important to have a leash collar on, because once a puppy comes in, you want to get the puppy slowly acclimatized to having a leash. Leave a collar, and then leave the leash on so that the puppy gets used to that. You may definitely want to have bowls, because I know we were just talking, right? There are people who have gotten the puppy and then realize, oh my God, how do I feed this one, right? You need to have bowls, right size of bowls, and there are many different kinds of bowls that you would want to. Food, of course, right? I think you need to have your stock up on your food. You see what is the food that you will eventually be giving the puppy. You need to probably get that. Make sure you have sufficient quantity. Understand how you're going to transition from the diet that the puppy is on to the food. And I think one of the bigger things that I'm personally a big fan of is crates. Right, I most of our dogs, as you can see, are crate trained. They like their space. That becomes a little home, little den. We also, because we transport dogs, crate training is a huge aspect when we send puppies, when we send dogs overseas, right? And a lot of people come back and then they say, okay, my dog is 8 years, 9 years, whatever, right? And has not got used to a crate. We have never really failed in getting a dog or a cat, for that matter, used to a crate, which only goes to show that they like crates because it's a safe this one. We'll never make a crate as a punishment corner. It has to be their little home, especially if you have kids at home. The puppy needs a space, like a secure environment where the puppy can go and hide and feels, okay, I need to sleep. I've had enough of trouble from the kids. You should give that space. Traveling has become so much more easier when you have a crate for the dog. So I'm a big fan of starting off with a crate training. A lot of people say that, oh, crate training means it's a punishment. It's not a punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. If you think you want to make it a punishment corner, you can. I would definitely suggest not to do that. But if you allow the puppy by themselves, they will go in. Potty training becomes so much more easier when you have a crate. So crate is, I will say, is really one of the big things. Of course, and you can buy, toys based on how big your dog is going to be. So it'll keep your pets engaged as well.
And I can vouch for what you said about kids, right? So when my lab was a little puppy, my family friend's kid would come over to play. The first time he came, my puppy bullied him like really bad. He didn't let him get off the sofa. The second time the kid came, my puppy was like looking for corners to hide. He was pulling on the tail, he was pulling on the ear, and he had decided that I'm going to, as soon as he entered the home, he announced that I'm going to take a revenge on you today. And my puppy was under the bed, finding corners. So yes, crate would have been a great savior at that point, but we didn't have crates at that time. So yep, I agree to that. And also just a little advice that maybe people should have an extra set of collar, leash, harness, because like you said, right, puppies have the habit of biting on them. And if you haven't noticed, you may just be stuck without a leash or a collar.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have a couple of leashes. It's just that I think for us, it doesn't come so naturally because we always have multiple leashes and collars hanging around everywhere, right?
Okay, so now that you have given us all the information of what we need to bring home a puppy, my puppy is now home. All right. And now I need to know what should I prepare for once my puppy is home? The first thing that usually people do, they bring the puppy from a breeder or they adopt a puppy and they will go straight to a vet, right? Is that really necessary? And in what cases is it necessary?
Again, I'm not a big fan of taking your puppy to the vet as soon as the puppy comes home, right? Because there are chances of, no matter how clean the vet hospitals is. In fact, veterinary doctors themselves nowadays are suggesting not to bring the puppy to the veterinary space because that's a place where a lot of dogs are coming, and there's a lot of infection, airborne, waterborne, right? All kinds of things, right? Why would you want to expose your puppy to that kind of environment? Also, why, from a behavior perspective, why would you want to take your puppy to a vet of all the places? Then it should be a happy place that they have to go to, right? In the first. Why would you go and then you can also hear other dogs, they're getting injection, they're letting out their squeals, and there's a lot of uneven energies, right, in a vet's place, however way you look at it. And there's a very high chance that the puppy can pick up infection, and there is actually no need unless there are the puppy showing symptoms of sickness, which is like maybe throwing up, maybe loosies, lethargic, not eating, right? Like, also know, right? Understand what the symptoms are. Don't rush your puppy just like that because sometimes it's fairly normal for some puppies to throw up. Wait and watch, and then see. So you need to know the right time to make that vet visit to just sort of waiting it out, right? So I'm not a big fan of taking the puppy to the vet, because I know some people say, I just want to get the puppy checked by the vet. I want to do the deworming. Deworming can be done at home. Check the puppy again, right? If the puppy you have already spoken to the person, they have vaccinated, puppy seems to be in good health, and all that is, I would try and avoid it as much as I can till the puppy settles in, and all that, grows up a little bit more bigger. Only when there is a possibility that a vaccination has to be done, then it's okay. In that case also, I feel that if there is a possibility of having the vet come in for the basic vaccination, that may be a slightly better way to do.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. I'm just quickly going to take a question that I may have mistaken a little while back. It would have been apt if I would have taken it a little while back. Uh, so, what factors should one consider while deciding whether to get a puppy or an adult dog?
Yeah, so again, multiple factors, right? It's just not one, right? I think I see one of the bigger factor being, and I don't mean to, I don't mean to put anyone down here, but I'm saying that one of the bigger factor that we look at is how does this particular breed look? Does it look cute?
Yeah.
I like this color. Is the color good? Right. I think that can be one of your last factors that you want to, right? Ideally, this is more to do with first. It's more about analyzing yourself, your home. As a family, how are you? Are you guys very social? Do you have a lot of people coming, going? Are you outdoor people? Are you indoor people? What do you like to do, right? I ask this a lot to people who consult us for what is the right kind of puppy, right? I always ask them, what do you do on a weekend, right? What is your day like? Are you like a sit at home chill kind of a person? Are you out there partying? Are you trekking? What are you doing, right? Because all this will add to what could be the right puppy with that kind of an energy. And when I say puppy, it could be a puppy, it could be a bigger dog, whatever it is, right?
Right.
It has to match. The energies have to match. Going back to the example, you cannot bring in a high energy dog into a home which is, all of us are fairly laid back, right? Bring in a laid back kind of a dog, right? And if for laid back people, senior dogs do really well, right? Because the senior dogs don't have that kind of an energy, whatever. uh, for people who want to start from the puppy, you have to understand the puppy is not going to remain a puppy, right? It's just a miniature version of what is going to grow into, right? A Saint Bernard puppy really looks cute, is really cute and fluffy, looks small, but will shoot up in no time, right? I've had Great Danes, I know how they grow, right? So they really will suddenly become big, that your house starts to look small. And you have to factor all this in. Look at the parents, see how they are, if you get an opportunity, temperament, etc. Those are things that I would really primarily put a bigger aspect to. If you're adopting, obviously, right, I think you should meet the dog. Try and see how the energies are. Do not bring in a hyper dog into a home when you yourself are not very energetic people, right? If you're laid back, bring in a dog that is more laid back, which suits into your lifestyle. I have seen people going all out and turning their lifestyle to suit the dog, and they have done it with great, and a hats off to them. But it's really really difficult. You have to continue this for the rest of the dog's life, right? So you have to make sure that you either change your lifestyle for the next 15 years or so, or just easier to bring in a dog that fits into your lifestyle, right?
Right. And I have an example there as well. So I knew an uncle and auntie who had a pet, but they lost their pet many, many years back. And both of them were working. They were bank employees. Once they retired, they again wanted a pet, right? And we recognized that obviously they don't have the energies to handle a puppy. So we actually advised them to adopt a senior dog, and they did. So it was a
Oh,
perfect
nice.
match. Yeah. So that's another factor, right? Again, when you're adopting a dog. All right. Let me just quickly run through if I have any more questions. Uh, okay. I'll move on to the next topic, which is So now my puppy's home. You've advised us on whether we should go to a vet or not. A very important topic, and I'm sure quite a few people are waiting for this one. Toilet training, right? My puppy's running around the entire house and pooping here and there and everywhere, and I've slipped on my puppy's pee so many times. So how do I control that? How do I manage to take my puppy out every time he or she wants to pee and poop?
See, again, it's about where is your puppy coming from, right? Wherever, right? Let's say if you have got a puppy from an adoption agency, from a breeder's place, wherever it is, people will tell you the puppy has got some kind of a routine. Puppies generally like to potty on surface based, right? Either smooth surface, rough surface, grass, concrete, that kind of thing. They would have shown some kind of a preference depending on where they have grown up, how they have grown up, right? If you can get that information, then your potty training becomes really easy. One of the most important things is please start from day one. Do not wait and say, I will bring my puppy home and I will allow the puppy to sort of, get going. I'm not going to, correct my puppy when on the first week or something. Then I will start potty training, because by then the puppy has already learned. If it's a completely different surface, the puppy has already learned, okay, this is where I'm going to go. Then you have to teach the puppy an unlearning and then relearning. Start from the day you come in, understand how many times the puppy is fed, when does the puppy go for the potty. Usually most people will have a clear understanding of that. Stick to the same schedule. Ideally, I would suggest, if people are in apartments, at least start off with the paper training, which is basically you can have the puppy pee and poo on papers, because once you start from there, then it's easy for you to transition it to anywhere, right? Balcony, maybe another bathroom or outside or whatever. It's easier. You can just, it's a fairly simple process. But please start the toilet training from the day the puppy arrives. Do not wait for the puppy to settle in and then say, okay, then I will come back. But I mean, it's possible, but when you have an easier way, just use the easier way about doing it.
Yeah. And we usually suggest people to actually maintain a timetable, right? The first few days, notice what time your puppy is actually peeing and pooing, and try and take your puppy out during those times.
Right.
Immediately after food, immediately after play, and all of that.
Right.
Okay. We have a question. I'm just going to quickly take this question in between. My German Shepherd puppy jumped from second floor. Her front leg joint was broken after 1 month. After they cut off the plaster. I don't think her leg was fixed, right? Even after the treatment. So I'm not sure what his question is, but do you want to advise people on safety measures that they should take care of if they're living in high rises?
Yeah.
Anything
so Abhishek, sorry, I'm not able to answer that. I think it's a more vet related. I'm not qualified to answer that.
Maybe let your puppies out, right? I mean, shut your balcony doors. Just be very careful about not letting your puppy in a place where your puppy could get hurt.
Right. So I think that is one of the things, right? So it is puppy proof, right? When you have babies at home, you do baby proof your house. Absolutely, right? You open, you keep the drawers closed, you keep the wires high, etc., etc. There is no way that one can keep an eye on the puppy 24/7. Again, coming back to, if you have a crate, a lot of these problems are solved, because you may want to crate the puppy for a few hours, let the puppy out for a few hours. The time that the puppy is out, spend bonding, spend doing training, whatever. Because most of the time, this is what it is, right? You take your eyes off the puppy for a few seconds and you're looking somewhere, you're doing something, and puppy gets into some kind of a mischief, especially if you're in the on high story apartments. They could be very risky. Or you also have puppy pens. If crate is not there, you have puppy pens. You can keep them there in the puppy pens. But please make sure that you have to keep engaging with the puppy, right? It cannot be that so crate, puppy pens, any of these things is not a full, like, it's not a solution. Right? So do not bring and then just leave them there. I'm sure nobody would, but I'm just putting it out there. This is not a solution, right? This is just to keep the puppy safe while he or she is sleeping. Give them that time, right? Do not They need their time to sleep, eat, play, right? You do not want to keep constantly sort of overwhelming them with a lot of attention and pushing them. Give them that time to sort of settle in and relax and eat and sleep in peace.
Yep, and keep an eye on the puppy at all times, even if you're not interacting with the puppy directly. It's very
Absolutely.
important. Okay, so Mr. A.K. Mittal has a question. Can I really give? Okay, whether I deserve whether I deserve to bring a puppy home or not also depends on the time that I have in hand to spend with the puppy. Do you want to touch upon that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely right. So puppies, they will take up a lot of your time, and I think you need to be absolutely sure that you can give it the time during the growing phase, puppy growing phase upwards. You can engage the dog during the growing phases. Exercise is a big part of it. Diet is a big part of it, and however you look at it, there is going to be expenses, right? So you may want to also factor that in before understanding that if you want to bring a puppy in or not. If you check everything and you know that, hey, the rewards totally outweigh all these things, and we have all seen that happening. But if you do believe, yeah, of course you can. But do not. I think one of the bigger things that I want to emphasize is do not do this in haste, right? Spend some time in researching, spend some time in talking to people. There are so many people out there who can give so much advice before you decide on bringing in a puppy. Do not look and say, okay, I like the look of how that dog is and I want to bring that. I think that could just spell disaster.
Right. Okay, so we go to the next topic where we're saying don't overwhelm your puppy. And I have a very appropriate question by Cherian on this one. I'm going to quickly flash that on. What's your opinion on the right social distance to be maintained with the puppy the first few weeks the puppy comes home?
Yeah, I can understand why Cherian is, is asking this. Yeah, Cherian has cockers, right? And cockers can be as cute as any other puppy. So what happens is that, I mean, when you bring a puppy home, obviously you want to tell everyone, hey, listen, we've got a puppy home. The kids are excited. Neighbors' kids are excited. I don't know, neighbors, friends' kids are excited. Everybody around the world is excited. They all want to come and meet the puppy. Yeah. Everybody wants to come and play with the puppy, and they want to do, they want to touch it, they want to. I will say the initial few weeks is not, I mean, it's not the best time to have everyone overwhelm the puppy like that, right? The poor thing has just come out from his siblings, from his mother. It's a new environment, different sights and sounds. He or she is still trying to figure out where is it. It's a new environment, everything is so new. Is trying to get a foot. And then imagine there are 200 people on the puppy trying to overwhelm it. The puppy can develop a lot of behavior issues during that time, right? And that's something we want to avoid. We want to give them enough space and time to sort of settle in. I think ideally for the first up to like 2 weeks, I will say, do not even bring in too many visitors. Even within the family household, also don't overwhelm the puppy with like carrying. Give them that time, right? Find out the schedule, how the puppy was in wherever it was, right? Earlier. Try and match that. If not, puppies by themselves like to sleep a lot. Try and read that, and when the puppy is feeling tired, allow them to sleep. Every time is not playtime with the puppy. As much as you think that, okay, I've come back from work and it's like evening and the puppy is tired out, wants to sleep, but then you wake the puppy and say, oh, I'm back and let's play and stuff like that, right? No. Poor
Anand,
thing.
I can bet these are the people who will say, okay, now I'm tired, stop playing with me once the puppy grows up.
Yeah,
especially for a spaniel.
That's what is going to happen, right? It's not fair that you give all your attention and time during the puppy phase, and then as the puppy starts growing up, you start to say that, okay, I don't have the time, it's just too much energy, and I don't have this, and I don't. It's so unfair to the puppy, right? So give a structure, stick to that, right? If you're going to spend 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours in the evening, whatever, fix that schedule. Let them go through their feeding, pottying, playing time, training time. Fix that schedule such that that's how it is built over, and the puppy can grow into into that schedule. They are creatures of habit at the end of it, and what habit we start putting in is what they're going to sort of grow up into.
And also they need to be exposed to as many positive experiences as possible, right? Because any negativity in the environment can trigger fear, nervousness, and those kind of behaviors in them, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point, right? So as much as we keep saying that, hey, give them the time and give them the space, any time between, they say, any time between 2 months to about 4 to, in some cases, 5 months of time is what we call as an imprinting stage, which is basically whatever the puppy learns during that time is more or less imprinted for life, right? So any kind of negative experience that happens to that puppy is really stays with the puppy for a very long time. I mean, it can be corrected, but it takes a very long time to sort of again unlearn, and to build confidence if the puppy is shying away, or if a puppy learns that, hey, I have too many kids coming and bothering me, and all I need to do is, if I like I snarl or show my teeth or like charge at them, these kids sort of go away. That's what the puppy starts learning. So that every time I need some peace and quiet, I just need to snarl or growl or whatever, and then they disappear, right? Which is not what we want to inculcate in them. So we want to give them that kind of space to build confidence, such that they come out into well-rounded ones. Exposure, they say that during the imprinting stage you have to expose puppies to at least 100 different sights and sounds, right? But do that in a confined thing, right? It's not about taking the puppy out on a walk and allowing them to meet other dogs, right? That's definitely not recommended. But you may want to take them out on rides. Don't leave the puppy down, but just expose them for different sights and sounds.
Right. Just to elaborate on that point, Anand, the next topic is socializing a puppy, right? So when we talk about socializing puppies, we usually, when I've spoken to pet parents, they talk about, oh, my puppy should be friends with humans and my puppy should be friends with other dogs. So socializing is limited to only dogs and humans in most pet parents' minds, right? Because maybe they're first-time pet parents and they don't know enough. So firstly, what is socializing, and what is the right age to start socializing your puppy?
See, socializing, in my opinion, right? And I know that there are a lot of variations of this, and I mean, of course, I do respect everyone's opinion on this, but I just believe this is just from experience, is that socializing does not mean that my dog is friendly and will go and meet every other dog in the way, right? Your dog is friendly, I accept that it's friendly, but a well-socialized dog is a dog that will not really go into another person or another dog's personal space, will maintain his or her distance, but when someone comes into their space and whatever, is a friendly dog. He's not like charging or is not shying away or anything of those sorts, right? So for me, I will say that is my ideal way that I would say that a puppy is socialized. But I think that the general understanding is that if my puppy is friendly, it can go into anybody's personal space. No, because what happens is, dogs like us also, right? Some of us are not very social with everybody else, right? Some of us are social butterflies, right? You put some people in a party and they can just get along with everyone. Some people, you put them there, they just want to stick to their own space and whatever, right? And they do not want to really indulge in small talk or whatever. So you need to respect those boundaries. Your puppy or dog may want to go and make friends with every other person, but for me, when we do our socializing, we do not allow that, right? We do tell that no, you maintain the distance. The bonding time is between you and the dog during that time. Only when a formal introduction is made, okay, hey puppy, meet this puppy, all right, now you can play. And then when you let them into a park, then they can go crazy, right? They can jump and they can do that and blah blah blah. But not always that they can keep poking their nose into someone else's personal space. I really do not believe that. So the way to start this, of course, is as a puppy, you may want to try exposing to different sights and so on, right? Take them on a car ride. Do not leave them down. Obviously, if they're not been vaccinated, take them on a car ride. Allow them to see and other dogs and other puppies and all that, but do not allow them to mix as such. Try and build bonds such that they're building a bond with you and not just going and then trying to charging into someone else's personal space. So I mean, this is my personal one. It has worked fairly well with me and the puppies that we work with. But yeah, I mean, maybe somebody else has a different opinion.
Right. And some of the things that I have done, at least with my puppies, is that, I have the sounds inside the house, right? I have actually taken a plate and a spoon and I've made the noise just to get the puppy acclimatized to baby time, right? With so much of noise outside. So yeah, there are a lot of equipments at home that you can use to actually, socialize your puppy with the sights and sounds and all of that. Okay. Mr. Sharat Sharma is asking, how much space and time does a pup need free from human overindulgence? You've answered this already, but do you want to touch upon that once again?
Yeah, no. Again, I do believe, and I see, right. So these are people who have had puppies and have seen so many dogs, and they do see the pain areas of this, right. So when we overindulge the puppy, when they come in, I think we do push them into some sort of a shell. Some puppies do go back into a shell. Some puppies react adversely. We don't want any of that. We want them to grow up as confident, calm, well-rounded individuals, right? And to give them that space, to whenever they feel like they feel overwhelmed by all our pampering and everybody coming in and wanting to squish them and pick them up and do all kinds of things, this is, I mean, you need to give that gap. You need to have that right gap. And I think while I just realized that I didn't touch upon this, is I somehow I do not recommend people carrying puppies too much. Right, only when it is necessary carry. Especially, I have seen kids carrying puppies, which is not really the best, because they could end up hurting the puppy, they could end up dropping the puppy, whatever it is, right? Unless you know the right way of carrying, I would not recommend that. But yeah, overindulgence, I think you need to have timeouts for the kids, for the family, for the neighbors kids, neighbors, friends, kids, whoever it is.
Right. Thank you for the question. Moving on, somebody has a question on toilet training. This is Abhijit, and he's saying the pee and poo timing are usually after food in select spots, but the puppy pees at random times at other places, even after having the papers in place. Any suggestions?
Abhijit, the first thing I would suggest is that you may want to make, like how Antaleena was saying, right? Make, write down the times that the puppy, for the first, like at least 3-4 days, what are the time that the puppy pees, poos, where does she, I don't know, right? Let's say she's doing it. You will have an idea. There is some sort of a routine, right? So here it is random times, right? So all you need to do is also you need to give the puppy the benefit that they have very small bladders. They cannot control at all points in time. So sometimes they will just pee. But as long as, out of 10 times, if they are peeing and pooing, say 6-7 times in a particular spot, and 2-3 times they're having accidents, it's all right. Just try and reinforce the positive thing. That is, when they are peeing and pooing in the right place, try and give them a little bit of reward. But the times that they're not doing, try and see if there is associated to some kind of a timing. Usually they would have had food, maybe drank a little bit more water, and then like 2 hours later they'll want to pee, right? So that you may want to take them out. So increase the frequency. If you have an option, increase the frequency of taking them out. The more that she is peeing, pooing outside, focus on getting her to pee and poo outside, rather than trying to correct how many times you can stop her from doing it inside. The more you do that, this will stop it to fall into a routine.
All right, thanks for answering that, Anand. So now that my puppy's home, I have my routine in place. I know what my puppy eats. I know I have toilet trained my puppy. Let's talk a little bit about basic training, right? There are a lot of questions around that. When can I start training my puppy? Yeah, go ahead.
Again, at the earliest, right? Because we have experimented doing some basics at even 2 months. Puppies, even with 2 months, some puppies do pick up very, very simple things, right? Like a recall, come when called, right? You can do that, and we do that. Like even when a matter of playing, we completely do that, right? We are calling the puppy comes to us, do like a little bit of a reward. And recall is like one of the more I think undervalued commands or lessons that a puppy can learn that we somehow don't focus. So you can start with something basic. That one, maybe sit. A lot of people can pick up sit very quickly, right? Start as at the earliest. Reason being that again, it's a bonding exercise. Puppy starts to learn. It's a positive experience because there's rewards coming in. Stuff like that. And most important, I think it is for a growing puppy. The thing is because puppy is taking in so many different sights, sounds, new people. Is growing up. Like a lot of things are happening, right? The more positive experiences the puppy gets used to, the better, the stronger is the bond. The puppy will also feel that there is will feel some sort of a satisfaction of doing something, right? Because otherwise what happens, we bring the puppy, we indulge the puppy, give them the best of food, give them lot of love, attention, etc. Maybe even give them quite a bit of exercise, but then what? Shouldn't the puppy want to do something, right? The mind is active, right? The puppy was bred to do something. All dogs were bred to do something or the other, right? It was not all dogs were bred to be companions. Today dogs have all become companions, but give them some work to do. Dogs love doing some jobs or the other. So try and engage that part of it which sort of stimulates their brain. So it also tires them out, so they feel a sense of accomplishment, right? I feel it's just not us that need to feel that sense of accomplishment and feel valued. I think dogs also need that.
Right, and it also helps build a bond with your puppy, right? Your puppy
Absolutely.
tends to recognize your voice, listen to you more often, interact with you, respond to you. I think training is a great way to build a bond with your puppy. Would you like to elaborate a bit on that, Anand?
No, absolutely right. I think training definitely helps build a very, very strong bond, right? We tend to look at training as just a set of 5-6 commands that we have taught, puppy has learned, and we like to say, okay, when people come in, we like to say, okay, my puppy knows sit, stay down, and I show this, and then we forget about it, right? But I think these basics is very important from a survival perspective of the dog itself. Like, so again, recall: you open the door, dog runs out, or puppy runs out. Just a basic recall, come back to me, right? You call the puppy, come back to me, can actually help the puppy in so many ways, because sometimes puppy can just run down the stairs if you're living in an apartment, if the gates are open, and if you're closer to where traffic is dense, it can run into traffic. Just so many things, right? Similarly, sit. When you're walking the dog, you want to cross the road, just a simple sit, let's wait, and then come on, let's cross, right? You go to a vet's place, you teach down. We see so many dogs, puppies struggling, at the vet's place, because we've never really taught, or we have never used the commands that we have taught the puppies. A simple down on the vet's table will just make it so much more better for the pet parent, for the pet, for the vets, for pretty much everybody around, right? So apart from building the bond, of course the bond builds because the puppy gets to do a lot of things. Apart from that, I definitely feel that a lot of these things can be used and should be used in real life scenarios. It's not just something that you've learned and you've shown it and forgotten about it.
Right. Okay, moving on to, we'll take up a few questions. So Hussein has a problem. He has an adult dog at home, and I think he has adopted an indie puppy without any vaccination backgrounds, of course. Do we need to take any precautions, is what he's asking. And should they be allowed to interact only after vaccinations?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Hussein, because see, indies, and I believe, right, an indie is a street indie. So basically, the puppy has lived on the street. Very, very important because the puppy also on the street, the immune may be slightly compromised. So this is a puppy that you would want to take to the vet. Make sure the deworming is done. Make sure you get the right kind of advice on the diet. Make sure you get all the vaccinations done. Because if the immune is slightly compromised, the puppy can pick up any kind of which perhaps your bigger dog can sort of ward off. Your puppy can pick that up. And because we know this puppy has not had vaccinations and maybe has not had great diet, nutrition, etc. So this is a case where you would want to go to a vet. you would want to make sure that everything is checked out. Deworming has to be done, vaccinations have to be done. Wait till the whole vaccination schedule is done before you allow it to meet your dog. If possible, keep them separate. It's not too long a period. I don't know how old the puppy is, but I hope it's not too long a period. It's anyway not too long a period. So if you can just make do for that few weeks, and then you can of course introduce. But do not forget, even during this time, that you're not allowing your puppy to mix with your bigger dog. Try and expose the puppy to different sights and so on as much as you can, like how Antaleena was saying, right? The puppy should get used to vessels that are being used at home. Maybe if you're using anything else, TV, right? Any kinds of sight.
Right, a lot of vehicle sounds, because in India has a lot of traffic and a lot of honking, so you can play those kind of videos and sounds on your TV. The cooker going, you can whistle, you can make all kinds of weird noises, right? Sorry, I interrupted there.
Yeah, no. I think all good points, right? I think as much as possible, if you can expose a puppy to all this without compromising on the health, of course.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And not scaring the puppy either, right? It shouldn't be like too loud that the puppy gets scared.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has to be a thin, it is a thin line between trying to overexpose and then expose, right? So you need to stick to that. I think one of the things that I've seen most people doing is when puppy gets scared, you tend to go and then pet and say, okay, don't worry, everything is okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that, right? I think you should want to see how the puppy reacts, because if the puppy sees that you're not reacting to the sight and sound and you're saying, hey, it's all part of life, right? There are going to be loud noises and there are going to be these sounds, but I'm just carrying on with my life. You also sort of need to pick up that puppy will start realizing. But if you start reacting and saying, oh my God, did you feel scared? Are you all right? And you do that, and then a puppy starts thinking, why are they reacting, right? So you're scared, I should also be scared, right? So they pick on those things.
Right. Thanks for that, Anand. Adhiraj has a 28-day-old puppy and he has some toilet training questions. Adhiraj, we just covered it a while back. This video will be on the DogSpot page, and you can go back to the recorded session and look at the answers Anand has given. We have a question from Subhojit on socialization. Does socializing also mean to get them used to the vets and the groomers?
Absolutely. I think this is also a very good socializing, which is basically desensitizing them. Sensitizing. I can never get that word. Okay, so desensitizing them, right? Which is basically, you have to make sure when the puppy comes in, we do that a lot, right? We touch their paws, we touch their ears, we underbelly, we touch their tail. So we are constantly touching the puppy in different such that the puppy is not reacting. Because at a point when they do go to the groomer and they're trying to just hold the paw and cut, then the puppy just sort of reacts a lot. So the more we can do this at home, it really helps before they can go to the vet's place. Yeah, so this is something that we try and do in our puppy training sessions. Is also we just take the puppy to the vet's place, more like a hi hello kind of thing. No injections are given, right? Because we don't want to make that something that the puppy associates with, because every time you take the puppy to the vet, some injection is given or some medicine is given, and puppy is feeling uncomfortable, and hence the puppy doesn't really makes a bad association with the smell, with the place, etc. So we just take them to the examination table, put them on. The doctor touches them, feels them, gives them some treats, and say, okay, good to go. Rest of the puppy is like, okay, so this is not bad smell, doesn't associate anything bad with, because most hospitals, vet have got like a distinct smell, right, which is basically disinfectants. So they do not make any bad associations. So we just do this as a socializing.
Yep. And I was boarding a Shih Tzu once, and I had to take her to the vet because she had a loose tummy. By the time the vet could even touch her, she was sitting on my head. So that's not what you want. If it would have been a bigger dog, I wouldn't have been able to manage. So absolutely. Even from that perspective, right, the more you train your dog, the more you desensitize. boarding your dog also becomes easier when you're traveling, right? Place
Absolutely.
to board your dog, keep your dog. Even during emergencies, if you have to leave your dog at a friend's or at a relatives who are not used to dogs, it's very easy to handle a trained dog rather than an untrained dog, right? So yeah, we are on top of the hour, Anand. Any last thoughts for the new pet parents who are watching us today?
Um, I'll just say that I mean, for the first time pet parents, yeah, it's definitely going to be a roller coaster ride, right? So you set expectations with you that it's not going to be all hunky dory. Don't expect that, oh, puppy comes in and the harps are playing and everything is going to go great. No, it will not. Things are going to go to a level where you will start your decision making, saying that, oh, why did I even bring this puppy home? The frustration will hit you. Trust me, it gets better. It is only the growing stage, which is from when you bring the puppy home till about a year and a half, kind of a thing, when the puppy is going through multiple different stages, right? And this is something that I always say is, we put up with our kids who go through adolescence and teenage and and all that for 20, 22, 25 years. Here it is just a matter of months. It's like maybe tops you give it a year. So go through that year with the puppy. Trust me, things get better. After that is when you really start enjoying your dog or your puppy, because it's that's when the puppy starts really knowing who you are, and starts picking up on all the small cues, etc., etc. You start enjoying the puppy more. So do not give up halfway, right? I think most people, the frustration gets the better of them, and then halfway through, especially during the adolescence age, they're like, okay, this is just getting too much for me, I cannot deal with that. Help is, if you want help, is around the corner. Like, lot of professionals are out there. You can seek help. Just go through that year and a half, and then things will definitely get better, I promise.
Thanks, Anand. That's very reassuring, I'm sure. And to all the viewers, if I have not been able to take your question, I apologize for that, but we will try our best to answer your questions after this live session. And we are at the end of our live now. Thank you so much for joining. And thanks, Anand, for my questions. Good day, everyone.
So much. Thank you so much, Antaleena, and thank you so much, DogSpot, for this opportunity. I hope I was able to add some value to all the pet parents out there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.